right, hello. Thank you guys for tuning in to this little lesson with me, Em, all about mindfulness. So, mindfulness is very much a buzzword these days. It's a term that gets kind of thrown around left, right, and center within the wellness and health industry. So I thought we'd take a little bit of a closer look and break it down a little bit so we can start to understand exactly what we are talking about when we refer to mindfulness. So basically, mindfulness is simply the opposite to mindlessness. If you imagine you hop in the car, you're going somewhere where you've been before, you've driven this route 100 times. You're very familiar with the road and the journey. And you get to your destination and you think, heck, I don't actually remember the drive. I don't remember getting here. We've all done it. So that is an example of your body being kind of on autopilot, cruising through the motions, doing the thing, doing what it needs to do, and the mind being somewhere completely different, not in the present moment. Essentially, mindfulness is being aware or noticing your attention, paying attention to your attention. A little bit of inception going on there, but you catch my drift. Energy flows where attention goes. So it's quite an interesting little experiment to start playing around with putting little pockets of mindfulness into your day. Another great analogy to help you kind of visualize, for me, visualizations are really, really helpful to kind of embody certain concepts that might seem a little bit airy-fairy or fluffy. So if you imagine a torch, okay, and a vacuum cleaner, and we're going to create this contraption which is both of these things together, a torch and a vacuum cleaner torch. Be quite cool actually, wouldn't it? So if you think about wherever you shine this torch, the spotlight, wherever it lands, that area that the spotlight rests on is going to be illuminated and highlighted. And then the vacuum cleaner aspect is going to suck whatever that is into you, into your brain, okay? So we're doing this all the time. It's just that we're not really aware of it. It's an unconscious or a subconscious natural thing that we all do. So what we're trying to do is make it into a more of a conscious process. We have this tool available to us. It's just that mostly we don't use it to our best advantage is a good way to put it. Some people will be naturally more mindful than others, but it is a practice. So it's easy to be mindful for a few moments, but I guess sustaining or maintaining that attention span is where the real kind of work and the grit and the training begins. Another way to define mindfulness would be to be steadily aware in the present moment, exactly as it is, in all of its detail. So this may seem really boring, but unfortunately, this is kind of our society these days. We're overstimulated. We are taking things for granted, and we aren't noticing the beauty and the joy that is available to us all the time. So it's kind of about training the mind to start noticing these things and to take in all the beauty, all the amazing experiences that are around us. And we do this by tuning into the senses. So some good examples of how you can implement mindfulness into your day would be to perhaps set a little alarm on your phone, little reminder, just a gentle little jingle. And you could do this at intervals throughout your day, or maybe just even once to begin with. And whenever that alarm goes off, you know that you need to stop, pause, notice your surroundings. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you feel against your skin? What colors can you see? So it's really absorbing what is happening in the present moment for you. You can also set up little triggers throughout your day or throughout your week or your life, which it's almost like a little game that you can start to play. So maybe every time you walk through a doorway, every time you brush your teeth, every time you do the dishes, these are your little pockets of time to be really present and really mindful, because these are often things that we just rush through and kind of get over and done with as quickly as possible. The challenge is, can you remain fully present with what is happening around you? And the hardest piece, what is happening inside you? So this is where the crossover kind of comes in with meditation. Obviously, when we meditate, we're taking the awareness inwards, or we're focusing very intently on one thing, which brings us very close to the sensations in our bodies, to the thoughts that might be going around in our heads, to the emotions that we may be experiencing. And again, that can be scary. That can be something that we don't want to pay attention to, we don't want to focus on. But this is the work. This is the training. You can't spend your life, well, to be honest, you're not really living your life. You're not really in your life if you're never present. So, when you're driving, or whatever it is that you're going to set as your little opportunity to be mindful, I want you to think about, let's use the car as an example. So I'm getting into my car. How does the door sound when it closes? I'm sitting on my seat. Which parts of my body are in contact with the seat? Is it hot or cold in the car? Placing my hands on the steering wheel, what does the steering wheel feel like? Is it hard, soft? What color is the steering wheel? How does it feel underneath my hands? What are the sensations? The sound of the road, the sounds inside the car. What can you see as you look out into the road and maybe in your peripheral vision? You can do this at any time. The dishes are a really good one because it's kind of a very boring, arduous task. So you could really challenge yourself there to be like, okay, you know what? I'm really grateful for these dishes because they give me something to eat my food off. So I'm going to enjoy washing these dishes. I'm going to feel the water, the temperature of the water. Maybe I can smell the washing detergent liquid, fairy liquid. You know what I mean? And I'm going to do this task completely aware of every single step. Another great one is eating. This is a huge one. You've probably heard of mindful eating before. A lot of us kind of scoff our food or we're on our phones while we're eating, or we're doing something else. We're multitasking, right? This is what life requires us to do a lot these days, is multitask. So honing in your full awareness and your full attention on the food is a great way to practice mindfulness. It also means you're more likely to absorb the food better, slowing down, absorbing the process, absorbing the nutrients, not overloading your digestive system. That's another story for another day. But it's like, I have this food in front of me, I'm very grateful for it. Absorb the visual aspect of the food. What does it look like? What are the colors? If you can, pick it up. Obviously, if it's soup or something, that's going to be very messy, but you get what I mean, the textures of the food. The smell of the food before it even reaches your mouth. And then once it does get to your mouth, What's the texture feel like inside your mouth? What are the different flavors that you can identify? And this is where you can really start to extract joy and enjoyment out of, seemingly small, ordinary and simple events throughout your day. Starting to appreciate more, starting to feel more gratitude for all the things that we have around us that we take for granted every single day. It's also a great way to start training the brain when we aren't feeling so good. I know that when I used to get really crippling anxiety when I was younger, and I used to ring my mum, who is now a clinical psychologist, thanks to me. Whoops. And when I used to get panic attacks, I would ring her and she would say, "Can you please pick up something in front of you? What can you see?" And I would name it and she would say, "Pick it up, hold it in your hand." And she would speak me through, I didn't know at the time what she was doing. Very clever. She would talk me through this process of just bringing me back and grounding me into the present moment. So it interrupts the process of your mind spinning out of control one way or the other, and it really just brings everything down to base level. So she would ask me to describe all the sensations around, I think it was a pen. I'm thinking of this one time I had a pen in my hand and it was, what does it feel like? What color is it? Etc. So it's about witnessing your experience externally and internally without getting swept away by it. And we do this, and I know this because I used to do it a lot. It takes conscious effort and practice to start gaining some control over where your attention is going. Mindfulness allows you to fully experience your life and yourself in all its glory and all its inevitable discomfort from time to time. And that is the essence and the beauty of life. So, very profound, isn't it? So I challenge you now, after this video has finished, can you sit, or wherever you are, whatever you're doing, can you sit and just be mindful for a couple of minutes? Notice what's around you visually. Look at all the different colors and the textures. Get really interested. Get really curious. And you'll find you notice things that you've never noticed before. What can you hear inside the room, outside the room? How far can you expand your hearing, your sense of hearing? What is the furthest sound away that you can hear? What can you taste inside your mouth? Can you feel your clothing against your skin? Does it feel tight anywhere? Does it feel comfortable? What is the texture and the sensation of the material against your skin? Give it a go. And do let me know how you find it. And I look forward to sharing with you guys again very soon. Thank you for listening.